What were some of the hardest parts this year? Now, last year, the hardest parts for me is that I was in full blown menopause. I felt like I was a Twinkie on two legs in terms of my waist was gone, my pants didn't fit. I had like a fanny pack around my front, only it wasn't a fanny pack. It was actually my stomach filling out my pants. And I just felt completely disempowered. The other low point, other than my health, and this is also part of my health, I spent way too much time working. Like there were just, when I looked at the low points of 2023, oh my God, like I didn't see my friends at all. Every single photo was work. I didn't spend a lot of time with my parents, with my family. There weren't a lot of celebrations, and it was depressing. And when you ask yourself, what were the hardest parts of your year? It's okay that it makes you sad. It's okay to feel the feelings. You know, for me, one of the things that made me really sad is becoming an empty nester. Like, I don't even like that term. I prefer the term bird launcher, because the fact is, once they fly away, they tend to fly back and they need more money and they have problems they need help with. And I love that. It's a sign that they need you and that they trust you. But it is kind of sad. It's sad to not have the energy in the house. It's sad to not have all the kids coming over after school and to have to be kind of quiet. Another really hard part, my dad had to have surgery. It's very unexpected. And it's also been hard to see that in the wake of the surgery, which was just a back surgery, it went well. I know you're going to ask, so I'm just going to tell you it went really well. But the recovery, it's kind of a long road. And he's can't do a lot of the things that brings him joy. So he's grumpy. My mom's kind of grumpy about it. You know, it's not the easiest thing to see your parents getting a little bit older. And so that was a really hard part. Another hard part, not going to lie to you, right in the let them theory. It is a very difficult thing to take on a project that size. And it chewed up most of my weekends, a lot of late nights. It was a lot of hard work. And so as much as it was a high, it was also kind of a low in terms of just the hard part. And I'm pointing that out because there are things in your life that are going to make you really proud and are going to be really big accomplishments. And they're also very hard. And that's okay. And kind of understanding that just because something is successful doesn't mean it wasn't a low point. Just because something was amazing in the end doesn't mean it wasn't a project that sucked you dry. And so it made both lists for me. The other thing that was very difficult for me is our daughter Sawyer went through the most painful and devastating breakup of her life. And she was profoundly depressed and heartbroken. And it is extremely difficult to watch somebody that you love process something like that because you can't fix it for them. Like the hardest thing about grief and heartbreak is you got to go through it. It was also very hard to watch our son Oak apply to a bunch of colleges and just get no from the 3 top schools he was interested in. And again, you can't fix it. And it's a really important thing in life to not get what you want, honestly, because it makes you realize what's worth working for. It makes you realize what's important, makes you realize nothing's guaranteed. And Kendall had a very hard year too at points where she was just very down on herself and questioning whether or not being in the music industry was something she was ever going to be successful at. And yet again, do you see the lesson life is teaching me? That I can't rescue someone from their challenges. In fact, when you try to, and this is what I learned, and it was kind of a gift now that I think about it, because as all this was going on, I'm writing the Let Them Theory. And it led to an entire section about how when people in your life are struggling, you have to let them because they're capable of facing these challenges in life. And when you try to rescue people from the natural consequences of life and their decisions, and when you try to rescue people from, what life is trying to teach you, they tend to drown. And so it was very hard for me to go, okay, let them. And let me just focus on providing the support and believing in their ability to face this and to get through it. You know what? It works. The people in your life are a lot stronger than you believe. So you got to let them and trust that they are capable, with your support, of figuring it out and meeting these moments in life. And, I'm sharing all this with you because what's going to be on your list is personal. And what it teaches you is personal, but it's also powerful. It's so powerful. I can't wait to hear what you find when you look back and you ask these questions. And that brings me to the third question. What did you learn about yourself this year? Like, for real. And I want you to really look at both the highs and the lows, the things that you accomplished and the things that you didn't. I want you to look at what made you super happy and brought you a lot of joy. And I want you to think about the things that were really challenging or broke your heart or that made you scared. Because regardless of whether it felt good or bad, I guarantee you it taught you something. Guarantee you learned something about yourself. When I look at my answers from last year, they were very kind of pragmatic. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I learned that the way I've been going about my health, now that I'm in menopause, it's not going to work, Mel. You can't just run this off. You can't just starve it off. You're going to have to do something different because doing what you've always done is now not working, woman. So you got to wake up and accept the facts. And the other thing that I wrote last year is, Mel, you got to stop managing other people's emotional breakdowns. I was always a fixer. Like, I was the first person to rescue people. I was the first person to throw money at it. I made it my job to make everybody happy. I'm the big reassurer. And that insight, that's what helped me this past year to show up totally differently when the people in my life were struggling. Instead of jumping in and saying, oh, it's going to be okay, I would just take a step back and be like, let them be heartbroken. Let them be scared that they're not going to make it. Let them feel like a loser, that they've been rejected not once, not twice, but a third time. Let them. And trust in their ability to really meet this moment and learn from it and ask for the help that they need. Because what ended up happening is, by stepping back, it created the space for especially my adult kids to step forward and grow and learn and strengthen themselves. And that was a really cool thing. But let me tell you, when I do the audit and I think about this past year and these past 12 months and I look at the photos, oh my God. So you ready for the lessons? Okay. So I learned that I've gotten to a point where I no longer can take the business that I've built to the next level. Like, I have tapped out of my capacity to truly run operations. Like, I'm terrible at it at this point. I was good for a certain point, but now I just have to be honest with myself and realize that I can't do the job that I've been doing anymore. And I can't do it well. And that's a really important thing to be able to admit to yourself, that maybe you're not a great parent when they're teenagers. That's okay. Maybe you're not great at all at Excel spreadsheets, but you're pretending to be. That's okay. Just knowing that is critical. Because when you accept the facts about your own limitations or your own interests or your own strengths or weaknesses, now you can pivot. Instead of beating yourself up, instead of continuing to slog forward. Maybe you've learned that you're kind of selfish. Maybe you've learned that you need more out of your partner and you're not that needy. You're with somebody who is actually selfish and not that nice to you. Like, what you learn about yourself is incredibly important, because I truly believe that anywhere in your life where you're feeling friction, and that's what I felt a lot at work, like this friction and this tension between the role I was playing when I sit here and I talk to you on the podcast and the role I have to play when it comes to building the team and managing the teams and looking at the P&Ls and like running the revenue and figuring out the operations and worrying about the leases. And oh my God, I just want to throw up when I think about this stuff. I'm horrible at it. And it makes me feel this like friction. Any area of your life this year where you have felt friction or frustration, you're in the wrong role. You're in the wrong seat in the bus, whether that's in your marriage, whether it's you as a parent, whether it's how you relate to your roommates, whether it's the job you're doing in your company. There is something about the fit that's not fitting anymore. And having that insight that I don't fit in the spot I'm playing anymore, that is liberating. Because then you realize it's not you, it's a process, or it's a role, or it's the fact that something has grown beyond your skill set. Doesn't mean you're a loser. Like, do you know how much courage it takes to go, I don't want to run operations anymore. I really have to focus on what I can do. Or, you know what? I've been pretty selfish in this family. And it's because I feel like my needs aren't being met. So I'm fighting against everybody. And I need to change that. So I learned that I was in the wrong seat in the bus. And that's why there was a lot of friction about and frustration in my work. And that insight is helping me to go, okay, well then what is the right seat? And who do I need to surround myself with? And what changes do I need to make? You and I are about to do a process that I call the yearly audit. I'm going to walk you through 7 questions that will help you audit the last 12 months of your life.